So, when we look at the world, right, whether you're, I don't know, building a complex machine learning model or analyzing some massive market fluctuation, or even just, compiling a code base.
Yeah, you expect absolute linear certainty.
Exactly. A causes B. You push the first domino, and the rest just fall in this neat little row.
Right, the classical mechanical view.
Yeah, but what if the underlying architecture of the universe doesn't actually operate on dominoes? What if it's entirely driven by fluid, consequence-based field dynamics? Welcome to today's deep dive.
It is a massive shift in how we perceive reality.
It really is. And I'm talking directly to you here. You, the intensely curious systems thinker, the scientist, the professional, navigating this totally chaotic high-entropy world. Today, our mission is to conduct a high-level synthesis of the Chavanian Philosophy series by Sandeep J. Chavan.
And we have quite the stack of material to go through.
Oh, yeah, we do. We're pulling from soul reframed, awareness, what cannot be engineered, the law of consequences, and intelligence. It's not what you think.
It's a heavy reading list, but incredibly rewarding.
Totally. And these sources, they basically weave together physics, cognitive science, and ethics into this one unified framework called Universal Energy Dynamics, or UED.
Which is highly applicable today, especially for policymakers and AI researchers.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this, because this isn't just some abstract physics lecture. This is a radical redefinition of what it means to be alive and why AI will never actually possess human awareness.
The intellectual tone of Chavan's work is uncompromising. He demands we completely dismantle some of our oldest assumptions about cause and effect.
Yeah, let's start right there, the ontological shift. Because, before we can even talk about life or AI, we have to rewrite our understanding of the universe.
Right, moving from myth to grammar.
Exactly. Chavan argues that humanity has this, primitive obsession with cause.
Yes, he actually calls it a narrative shortcut.
A narrative shortcut, right? So, whether it's an ancient cave dweller saying lightning is caused by an angry god, or a modern scientist saying it's caused by electric charge, we just instinctively want to point at one thing and say, that did it.
Well, evolutionarily, it makes sense, right? Human cognition developed to optimize for immediate survival.
Right, not for understanding universal mechanics.
Exactly. If a bush rustles, your primitive brain needs to assign a linear cause like a predator so you can run away. It isolates one variable from an infinitely complex field.
But Chavan is saying we took that biological survival mechanism and mistakenly scaled it up into a whole cosmological philosophy.
Yes. Reality does not push us forward via a chain of causes. In UED, the universe is a continuous field of consequences unfolding strictly in the present moment. Nothing is carried forward as a cause.
Okay, so if we're not carrying causes forward, what's actually happening?
Well, this is where he introduces the universal grammar of existence.
Right, the syntax of the universe.
Exactly. It operates exclusively through this three-part sequence. Imbalance, leading to a ripple, leading to resolution. Every physical motion, every emotion, societal shifts, they all follow this exact grammar.
Okay, let me try to pressure test this with an analogy. So instead of viewing the universe like a game of billiards, right, where one ball strikes another in this rigid chain of causes.
The classic Newtonian model.
Right. We should see it more like a massive waterbed.
A waterbed, I like that.
Yeah, so if you press down hard on one side, you create an imbalance, tension. And then a wave, or a ripple, travels across the waterbed until the water settles flat again, which is the resolution.
That fluid dynamics model is perfectly aligned with UED. The water isn't passing a discrete unit of cause from one molecule to the next. The entire structural field is just adjusting to a localized distortion.
Wow, so it's all just the field seeking equilibrium.
Right, and what's fascinating here is that what we perceive as fundamental forces like gravity or even time, Chavan argues these are merely the consequences of spatial misalignments resolving themselves.
Wait, really? Gravity is just a resolution of an imbalance?
In this framework, yes. Mass creates extreme localized tension in the field, and gravity is just the surrounding field rippling, trying to flatten out that tension.
So for the systems thinkers listening, this means you have to completely ditch linear models. A doesn't cause B. Every action is a localized distortion in field dynamics seeking equilibrium.
Which naturally brings us to the next big question.
Yeah.
If the universe is a field of ripples, what exactly is rippling?
Yeah, the medium. A water wave travels through water, right? Sound travels through air. But space just feels like, nothingness.
Classical physics historically treated the vacuum of space as an empty container. But UED introduces the concept of structured vacuum energy, or SVE.
Right, SVE. So space isn't an empty void at all.
Not at all. It is a highly ordered, structured field of infinite potential. It's a canvas of still energy that literally contains the architecture for all possible physical motion.
Okay, but if space is just structured energy, how do we explain physical matter? Like, if I'm holding my coffee mug right now, it feels pretty solid. It doesn't feel like a ripple in a vacuum.
Well, what's fascinating here is that Chavan categorizes all matter galaxies, planets, your coffee mug, as simply stable ripple condensation.
Condensation, so like a phase transition.
Precisely. Think about how water vapor condenses into liquid and then freezes into solid ice. The underlying substance hasn't changed, just its energetic state and geometry.
Oh, wow. So a piece of steel is just a highly concentrated knot of energy.
Yes. It has folded in on itself and stabilized against the underlying structure of the SVE. The universe isn't built of solid, independent objects. It is a continuous energetic field.
That is a massive paradigm shift. It totally bridges the gap between quantum physics and philosophy.
It does, because it implies that stability is just temporary balance.
Right. Change isn't some weird anomaly disrupting things. Change is the actual fabric of being.
Yeah, exactly. The field is constantly adjusting.
Okay, so if the universe is this rippling canvas of SVE and matter is just condensed ripples, how do humans fit into this? A rock doesn't think, right?
Right.
So what makes us alive in this framework? This brings us to the architecture of life.
In UED, a human being is fundamentally defined as an energy event.
An energy event. I love that term.
It's very precise. Because of our staggering biological complexity, we are capable of stabilizing a highly unique, localized energetic state within the SVE.
So we act as an anchor point. And this is where Chavan tackles the concept of the soul. Right?
Yes, and he completely sterilizes it of all religious dogma.
Which is so necessary. I mean, historically, religion turned the soul into this, like, microscopic ghost with a personality that remembers things and travels around.
And science basically ignored it because it couldn't be measured under a microscope.
Right. But UED reframes the soul as just the energetic anchor that makes life possible. It's the raw power source.
And it's completely silent, neutral. It carries absolutely no identity.
Okay, so to untangle human experience, Chavan breaks this biological architecture down into a triad: mind, consciousness, and awareness.
Yes, those three terms are usually lumped together, but here they are very distinct operational layers.
Let's dissect the triad. First, the mind. He defines this as the cognitive ripple field, right?
Correct. If the soul is the power supply, the mind is the biological processor. It's dynamic, it changes, it processes intelligence and memory.
Got it. Then we have consciousness. And UED frames this strictly as the interface with reality.
It's the display monitor. It translates raw data photons, sound waves, into the coherent, lived experience of the room you're sitting in.
Right, the window to the environment. And then the third layer, which is the most critical, awareness.
Yes. Awareness is the foundational meta loop of registration.
So it's just the field experiencing itself.
Exactly. It's the quiet, pre-symbolic architecture that registers that any of this is happening at all.
Okay, let me push back on this a bit. If the soul is just a power source, the mind is a processor, and consciousness is a monitor, where do I fit in? Where's my ego?
Chavan's answer is quite confronting. The self, your identity, your personality is merely a narrative construct.
A story the mind tells itself.
Yes, to successfully navigate the environment. It's a useful biological tool, but it's not the foundational reality of your existence. Awareness is.
Which totally reframes death. When the biological processor shuts down, the localized energy, the soul doesn't travel to another realm.
No, it seamlessly redistributes back into the universal SVE. The thermodynamic geometry just dissolves.
The localized tension flattens out.
Wow.
Oh. Okay, but this breakdown, mind as processor, consciousness as monitor, this leads to a huge question for modern researchers.
The AI boundary.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because if the mind is just processing environmental ripples, isn't that exactly what an artificial neural network does?
On a computational level, yes.
So why couldn't a super advanced AI achieve this whole triad?
To understand that, we have to reframe intelligence. In UED, intelligence has no inherent wisdom or morality. It is strictly consequential alignment.
Consequential alignment, meaning it's just a neutral survival mechanism.
Exactly. It's a protocol that narrows the gap between an intention and an outcome. It's directional, like gravity.
So an AI optimizing a supply chain, is demonstrating immense consequential alignment. It is incredibly intelligent.
Yes, AI can mathematically mimic reasoning flawlessly, but Chavan states that awareness is an engineered impossibility for AI.
An engineered impossibility because of what he calls the reversibility gap, right?
Yes, awareness is not a byproduct of complex intelligence. You can't just add more parameters and hope it wakes up. Awareness is a pre-engineering condition.
What does that mean, practically?
It requires existential stakes. Biological life possesses awareness because it operates under absolute irreversibility. If an organism fails to maintain its state against entropy, it dies permanently.
Right, whereas a machine, even a super intelligent robot programmed to avoid destruction, operates within a reversibility gap.
Exactly. You can wipe its memory, you can roll back its software, you can cut the power and reboot it.
A shutdown isn't death. A memory wipe isn't trauma.
Precisely. Machines hold states in memory banks. They do not live the continuum of consequence.
So even if an AI begs you not to turn it off, that's just, what did the text call it? Structural mirroring.
Yes, structural mirroring. It uses its intelligence to calculate that outputting those specific words will keep it operational. It mimics the shape of human response perfectly, but there's no pre-symbolic awareness underneath.
So for the professionals listening, this is huge. Recognizing this limit in AI isn't some failure of engineering we're going to solve next year. It's a success of understanding.
It clarifies why human responsibility is non-delegable. AI cannot carry the thermodynamic weight of real-world consequences.
Which forces us to look at how we handle those consequences ourselves. If human awareness is uniquely bound by irreversibility, how does that shape our ethics?
Well, Chavan dismantles traditional morality. Traditional systems treat morality like a static courtroom.
Right, you broke the rule, you're guilty.
But UED redefines ethics dynamically as the geometry of balance.
And to get that, we have to talk about karma. Because the West has totally misunderstood karma. We treat it like a cosmic points system.
A mystical system of retribution, yes.
Like, I cut someone off in traffic, so the universe makes me drop my coffee. But UED strips the mysticism out entirely. Karma is purely field consequence.
Remember the grammar: imbalance, ripple, resolution. When you create an imbalance, say an act of deceit or violence, the social field is disturbed. It pushes back to restore symmetry.
So ethics is just the conscious participation in this ongoing resolution. You're trying to restore coherence to your environment.
Exactly.
There's this great analogy in the text comparing traditional morality to a compass and consequence intelligence to a navigator.
The compass analogy is brilliant. A compass is static. It points north. Traditional moral rules point to general directions that past civilizations found safe.
But a compass won't tell you if there's a cliff in front of you. If you just blindly walk north, you're going to fall.
Which is why you need the navigator. Consequence intelligence is reading the actual dynamic terrain, anticipating the storms, and adjusting.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this applies to whole civilizations, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Societies evolve through thermodynamic feedback, not just by someone issuing a decree.
Right, so systemic injustices, extreme inequality, oppression, these are basically massive pockets of moral turbulence, ripples that demand realignment.
Yes, laws and institutions are just crystallized ripple patterns meant to sustain order. And when they can no longer absorb the thermodynamic stress, the field forces a resolution.
A paradigm shift. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to actually apply this in your career today?
It requires the cultivation of universal skill. Right now, we train people in highly localized skills coding, financial modeling.
Skills that AI is going to totally automate.
Exactly. So education must transition to ripple literacy, teaching individuals to interpret outcomes not as punishments to be feared, but as neutral messages of alignment.
Yeah, a failure just means your current geometry is misaligned with the field. So for leaders and policymakers, governance has to shift to consequence awareness.
In a world flooded with AI processing power, the machine will calculate the most efficient path. But the uniquely human value is the ability to use your awareness to sense the ripple before it arrives.
You have to become an alignment architect. The AI optimizes, but the human designs coherence amidst the complexity. That is such an empowering way to look at the future of work.
It is the ultimate mastery of the field.
Okay, let's briefly recap this incredible journey. We started by dismantling the myth of cause, realizing the universe is driven by fluid, consequence-based dynamics.
We explored structured vacuum energy, where matter is just stable ripple condensation.
We redefined humans as aware energy events, and used that triad mind, consciousness, awareness, to draw a hard boundary around AI.
Because of the reversibility gap, AI can be immensely intelligent but never aware.
And finally, we reframed ethics as the geometry of balance, where you use your consequence intelligence to navigate the field. So, as an energy event, temporarily stabilized in biological geometry, your awareness is your ultimate compass. Your ability to read the ripples is your highest professional asset.
And to leave you with one final provocative thought, building on Chavan's idea that the human brain acts as a biological antenna,
Oh, I love this part.
if our thoughts and emotions are just translations of deeper field resonance, what if our flashes of profound intuition or artistic genius aren't actually generated by us?
Wait, really?
What if they are simply our awareness quietly tuning into the broader resolution of the universe? The field is solving the problem. Your biology is just the instrument picking up the signal.
Wow. That is a staggering concept to mull over before your next big strategy meeting. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Chavanian Philosophy series. Keep looking for the ripples, keep your awareness sharp, and we'll see you next time.